Lovie Tarver of Bowie, Maryland comes from a family of black service personnel, starting with her great-great-grandfather, who as a slave served on the Confederate side during the Civil War, and continuing to her own siblings who served. Tarver is now the family's historian. Down to the family name of Browne, Tarver knows all about her family's history.
My grandfather and three of his brothers were all in the military, one in the Navy, but three of them were in the Army. And because there were so many soldiers named Browne, they wanted to be able to always find each other because they weren't going to be stationed at the same place. So they agreed to add the E to the end of the name, so Browne then had an E. After my grandfather's brothers and he got out of the service, the other two brothers dropped the E, but my grandfather retained the E. So we are the only branch of the family that still has the E on the end of our name.
She chronicled in great detail the life of her grandfather, Sylvanus Browne.
My grandfather had two tours, if you will, I think that's what they call them now, in the Army. The first one, he was with the 9th Regiment. They were the Buffalo Soldiers.
Then, after Joel Spingarn and W.E.B. Du Bois opened the first officers' school for colored troops, Camp Des Moines in Des Moines, Iowa, Tarver's grandfather joined the first class in 1917.
My grandfather went to that school and became a first lieutenant, and then started that tour of duty, was sent to France.
As a first lieutenant in France, Tarver's grandfather had to ensure all was well with the troops.
Part of what he had to do was keep track of the supplies, ammunition, and the assignments to the other troops, the privates and corporals.
Even while busy with war, Browne took note of the differences as a black man in Europe versus back home in the United States.
Europe is different, the way they view African Americans than here in the United States. So the tour, I would say, wasn't one of extreme discrimination like we would have had here if the war was fought here in this country. Parts of the time they were there, they did enjoy it. I mean, there were things that they could do when they weren't actually fighting.
Like what, you wonder?
Well, African Americans were more readily accepted in France, and so some of the things that we couldn't do here, like the water fountain things and those things that you remember from the Civil Rights era, those things weren't an issue.
And Browne loved taking in the new culture.
He enjoyed shopping for my grandmother in France. He definitely enjoyed shopping for her. He felt that ladies should always have a hat on, and so he purchased several hats while he was in France and sent them home to my grandmother.
And when he wasn't shopping for his wife, Lovie, who Tarver is named after, he was writing to her. Tarver has a notebook full of letters sent between her grandparents during the First Great War.
This letter was sent on October 2nd, 1918, while he was in Paris, France, serving.
We'll leave you with the complete words of Lovie Browne to her husband.
And it reads, "My own darling boy, my beautiful cap received an oh honey, but it's pretty. And I am simply crazy about it. And oh, how I love you and thank you, mine own honey boy. Why, I haven't done a thing, hardly, but try on my cap. I'm trying my hair in a number of different ways to see which one looks the best with my cap. I will feel very dressed up when I put it on Sunday. I'm going to wear it Sunday and watch things happen. Haha."
In Washington, D.C., for the Afro, I'm Misha Green.